Have you ever had a moment where you wanted to speak up? React, but something inside you said, "Be quiet." We often think of silence as weakness, as a lack of confidence, as letting others win. But from the perspective of Stoic philosophy, a school that has existed for over 2,000 years, silence is one of the highest expressions of inner strength. Think about it. When you stay silent, what are you doing? You are refusing to let your emotions guide you. You are choosing not to react immediately just because someone has upset you. You are giving yourself the power to decide when and how to speak up. That is not a weakness. That is power. The power to be yourself. Silence, in many ways, is like an invisible shield. It protects you from the verbal arrows that come from other people's tempers. It keeps your energy from being drained by pointless arguments, answers you'll regret, or situations where your words will only make things worse. I once witnessed a colleague, in a tense meeting, being harshly criticized by his boss in front of everyone. You can imagine how uncomfortable that was. But he didn't argue, didn't hold a grudge. He just kept quiet, looked directly at the speaker, nodded slightly, and took notes. After the meeting, he sent an email explaining everything with clear facts. As a result, people not only respected him more, but also trusted his composure and professionalism. It was then that I understood, sometimes, a well-timed silence can be more powerful than eloquent words. The problem is, we live in an age where we want to be heard, seen, and responded to immediately. Social media encourages you to respond immediately, to comment immediately, to express your views immediately. But that also means you can easily get drawn into endless arguments, get sucked into a spiral of negative emotions, and lose your ability to keep your cool. Stoic philosophy reminds us that not everything that happens requires a reaction. Not everything that is said requires a reply. Every time you stay silent when your emotions are about to explode, you are building a special kind of power in yourself, the power to control yourself. And no one can take this power away unless you give it to them. Why do I want to share with you 6 situations that require absolute silence? Because these are the moments when if you say the wrong thing, you can lose more than you think. That is when silence not only saves you from trouble, but also makes what you say next more weighty and trustworthy. Imagine a boxer in the ring. Not every punch is thrown. Not every attack is made. There are moments when you need to defend, observe, and wait for the right moment to strike. Same with silence. That is not retreat. That is preparation. Let's go through these 6 situations together. And when you understand clearly, you will see that staying silent at the right time not only protects you from mistakes, but also strengthens your inner strength, makes others respect you more, and helps you maintain peace even in the midst of storms. So before you respond to anything, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, will this word help me or hurt me? Will it build me up or destroy me? And if the answer leans toward risk, then silence is the most powerful response you can give. Have you ever noticed that, in a moment of anger, what you want to say right away is often not what you will be proud of later? When anger flares up, reason is pushed to the back, and emotions take over. At that time, every word you say is no longer guided by sobriety, but just a spontaneous reflex to respond to others. And this is the first moment when you have to learn to be absolutely silent. The Stoics have a saying that is worth pondering. No one makes you angry. Only you choose to react to it. That is, emotions are not forced upon you by others, but rather are allowed to arise by you. And when you realize this, you will see that you have the absolute right to choose to stay silent instead of exploding. Imagine you're at work and a coworker makes a sarcastic remark. You could respond right away, firing off a sharp retort. But if you choose to stay silent and take a deep breath in that moment, you won't give them control over your emotions. You won't be pulled down to their negative frequency. And when you do respond later, you'll respond with reason, not anger. If you get angry, you will pay a price. That price could be a loss of professional image, a relationship, or even your own respect. And what's more dangerous is that every time you let your anger take over, you are leaking the mental energy you need to maintain inner stability. So, whenever you feel your blood getting hot, practice stopping. Try taking a deep breath and counting to 10, or leaving the space for a few minutes. Here's a quote I really like. A moment of silence when angry can save you from 10 years of regret. Yes. Sometimes silence not only saves you from an argument, but also saves your future. But silence isn't just necessary when you're angry. It's especially important when the other person is losing control. Think about the last time you saw someone really lose their temper. They were screaming, banging on the table, using harsh words. At that moment, they weren't looking for reasoning. They weren't looking to hear the truth. They just wanted to let out all the pent-up negative emotions. And if you reacted in that moment, you would only fan the flames. When someone loses control, the worst thing you can do is respond with the same energy. At that point, the conversation is no longer about understanding each other, but becomes a win-lose battle. And in an emotional battle, both sides lose. Only the relationship is damaged. I've been in this situation before. An angry customer calls me, his voice full of frustration. I was about to explain right away, but then I realized any explanation at that point is pointless, because they are not in a state of readiness to listen. Instead, I keep my voice calm. Don't interrupt, just listen until they stop. And when the heat has cooled, I share the solution. As a result, they not only accept my explanation, but also apologize for being so angry. When others lose control, remember 3 things. Keep your face calm and don't react defensively. Listen but don't add fuel to the fire. Only respond when both parties have calmed down. Not only will this help you maintain your inner peace, it will also show the other person that you are in control of the situation. And in their eyes, you will be more trustworthy, because you are not easily caught up in the storm of emotions. Being silent in these 2 situations, when you are angry and when the other person is out of control, is how you keep yourself in control. The master of your emotions, the master of your words, and the master of how the conversation will unfold. Because once you lose control, you have given control to the other person. But when you are silent, you keep the keys in your hands. Have you ever been in a situation where you heard only half of a story, then jumped to conclusions, and then realized you had completely misunderstood? This is why in Stoic philosophy, there is a very clear principle: don't judge until you see the whole picture. There are countless moments in life when you are drawn into a story, a piece of news, or a situation where you only hear one side of the story. Your emotions compel you to speak up, to defend someone, or to refute something. But the truth is, without enough information, every word you say can be a knife, and sometimes it can even hurt your credibility. Imagine you hear from a coworker that someone else made a mistake on a project. You rush to share the information with everyone, only to find out a few days later that the whole story has been distorted. Now you have not only damaged the other person's reputation, but also made yourself look untrustworthy. In the age of social media, where information spreads at lightning speed, this trap is even easier to fall into. We share, comment, and express our opinions in seconds, forgetting that a single wrong statement can follow us for years. So, when you don't have enough data, get into the habit of delaying your comments. Instead of rushing to make a statement, ask yourself, can you elaborate? Or, where did this information come from? And only when you have a comprehensive view, then your words have weight. Remember, remaining silent without enough information is not indifference, but respecting the truth and protecting yourself. Blank. Underscore. Blank. But there is a seemingly opposite situation, where you know the truth very well, but you should still keep quiet. That is when you have just achieved great success. It's human nature to want to share what you've achieved, whether it's a project you've completed, a deal you've just signed, or a great opportunity that's opened up. Sharing your joy is fine, but it's also a time when you're vulnerable to jealousy, scrutiny, or even sabotage. Think of an athlete who has just found out he has qualified for the Olympics. If he announces it right away, the media will explode, the pressure will be on, and his competitors will have plenty of time to study and compete. But if he keeps quiet, prepares quietly, and protects his achievements, then when the news is announced, everything will be safe. This principle holds true in life. 2. When you announce success too early, you invite not only congratulations, but also skeptical looks, gossip, and competing plans. You'll find yourself under more pressure, easily losing focus on what's most important, consolidating and growing that success. So instead of sharing massively, be selective and strategic. Wait until things are really stable, all risks are under control. Then announce. And when announcing, keep a humble attitude. Humility does not diminish the value of your success. On the contrary, it makes others respect you more. There is a great saying, let the results speak. When your achievements are big enough, you don't need to shout about them. People will come to you to hear your story. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Both situations, when we are not informed enough and when we have just achieved success, teach us the same lesson. Keeping quiet at the right time is a strategy to protect our inner strength. A person who speaks too quickly when he does not understand clearly, or who is too eager to share when he is not ready, can easily lose the advantage. But a person who knows how to restrain himself, who knows how to keep time to observe and prepare, will always be in the proactive position. Because sometimes, silence is not only golden, it is also armor, leverage, and a way for you to keep all the power within you. There is a kind of silence that anyone who wants to be trustworthy must learn. Silence when others confide in them a secret. Try to remember the last time someone sat down, looked you straight in the eye, and said, "I'm just telling you," in that moment. They're not just giving you a story, they're giving you a piece of their trust. And trust, once lost, is almost impossible to regain. Many people underestimate the power of what they say after hearing a secret. They think, "I'll just tell one person, so it's okay." But secrets are things that, once they've been leaked, will find a way to spread. And when that happens, the trail will come back to you. Just one misplaced revelation and you'll be tarnished in the eyes of the other person, not because you were mean, but because you weren't trustworthy enough. I once saw a friend lose a relationship of nearly 20 years because of a funny story shared at a party. The story got back to the person involved, and everything they had built, the memories, the bond, the trust, came crashing down overnight. If you truly want to protect your inner strength and the respect of others, treat their trust as a precious asset. When someone confides in you, listen and keep it, not spread it. And if you must share for legal or ethical reasons, do so privately, with a limited audience, and always be transparent with the person who shared it with you. A trustworthy person is not one who knows many stories, but one who keeps the stories he knows. Blank. Underscore. Blank. But not all silence comes from trust. Sometimes, you have to be silent for another reason, to protect yourself from emotional traps. That's when someone is deliberately provoking or attacking you. You know, there are people who aren't looking for answers. They're looking for reactions. They want to make you lose your cool, to drag you into a pointless confrontation where they can manipulate your emotions. And if you react right away, you've fallen into their trap. I remember one time when a former colleague of mine was teased by someone in a meeting. With obvious sarcasm, all eyes turned to him, waiting to see how he would respond. But he just smiled and continued to present his ideas as if nothing had happened. At the end of the meeting, no one remembered the provocation, but everyone remembered his composure. When faced with attacks, treat them like background noise, no need to react. The more you pay attention, the louder the noise becomes. The quieter you are and the more focused you are on your goal, the quieter the noise becomes. Being silent at this time is not because you are weak, but because you know you have more important things to do. You do not let others control your mind and emotions. Remember, the winner is not the one who responds to every provocation, but the one who does not let himself be dragged down. Because ultimately, keeping your inner strength is not only about protecting your energy from bad things, but also about refusing to let yourself get dragged into unnecessary battles. Do you realize that in this life, victory doesn't always come from what you say, but sometimes it comes from what you choose not to say? Being quiet at the right time is a form of wisdom. It is the ability to look beyond your immediate emotions, not letting a moment of anger or excitement determine your entire future. There is a Stoic saying that I have always remembered: you can't control what other people say, but you can control your reaction. This means, the world out there may be noisy, it may be judgmental, but how you react, that is your choice. Every time you hold back your words, you're doing something important. You're conserving your mental energy. Think of your inner energy as a battery. If you drain it on pointless arguments, on reacting to every insult or negative comment, you'll have no energy left for what really matters. On the other hand, when you choose to remain silent, you're preserving a reservoir of strength that allows you to stay calm in the face of turmoil and confidently face challenges. I have met many people who are successful not just because of their talent, but because they know when to speak up and when to keep quiet. They don't speak to win a small argument, they keep quiet to win the long haul. They don't respond to every attack, they spend that time doing things that get them closer to their goals. I know, it's not always easy to stay silent. Sometimes you feel like you have to defend yourself right away. Sometimes your ego will tell you to speak up. But ask yourself, if I speak up, will it help me or hurt me? Will it build me up or destroy me? 9 times out of 10, you'll find that silence is the wise answer. Of course, I'm not saying you have to be silent all the time. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is a strategy. You speak up when your words add value, when they solve a problem, when they open up new avenues, and you stay silent when your words only make things worse, when they come from impulse, or when the other person isn't ready to listen. There is a soft power that very few people possess, the power to choose your words. When you know when to speak up and when to keep quiet, you not only control the situation, you control how others perceive you. And here's a fun fact. Being silent at the right time will make what you say later more powerful. Like a musician who stops the music at the right moment, you'll keep your audience holding their breath. And when you speak, they'll listen. So make silence a strategic habit. Remember that every word you speak is an arrow. Make sure you only shoot it when it hits the target. And every time you are silent, you lose nothing. On the contrary, you gain strength, peace, and respect. Silence doesn't make you weak. Silence is proof that you are strong enough that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. If you think the power of silence can change the way you live and face challenges, you're just scratching the surface. In this playlist, I've shared many more real-life situations where silence not only helps you stay calm but also puts you in control of every situation. Don't miss it. Each video will open up a new perspective for you to understand more deeply and apply immediately to your life. Click on the next video now, because the secret there might be just what you need today.